was here on the same set. And we're discussing that issue, the kind of criticism that has come towards this devolution, the structure that we have currently. That economic viability does not seem to have been a thought. And he said that, yes, indeed, maybe it wasn't, but that is by design, because the issue is that the need was to devolve services, not really economic viability. So are we saying that the critics are a bit misplaced in their argument?
Fred, that's correct. And this misplacement largely erupts from what I would probably narrow down into lack of an effective management of financial resources. And if you engage a majority of those who are not for devolution, then their biggest excuse is that probably governors are stealing, so theft of the devolved funds. But the converse is also right, that there are areas in this country that the kind of services that they have been able to receive, the kind of even economic activities that they have been able to experience as locals, citizens waking up to engage in their activities, are opportunities that, were it not for devolution, they would never have even dreamt of them. Because one, we have kiosks that have been put up by county governments. And even before you talk about kiosks, we've just been talking about the infrastructure, the roads infrastructure. But even as you think about putting up a kiosk, you have to imagine what would happen as people walk or transport goods into that kiosk. We have markets that have been put up purely because of devolution, and is largely because markets and those kind of trade, basically the entire trade framework is devolved. And so to the critics, they are a little bit misplaced, of course taking note of part of the experiences which we have already shared. But the beauty is that we also have institutions. So even as I talk about one of the biggest excuses, which is theft of these devolved funds, is to ask ourselves, what is EACC doing? The Constitutional Commission that is charged with the war on graft. What is the DCI, doing? What is DPP doing? And how does that therefore relate to the work that county governments are supposed to be doing? True to the fact also is that if you look at part of why the critics could be right, is so that even as we finance devolution, Fred, we have about three main sources of funding. We have the equitable share that comes from the national government, part of what has also been a big debate here on delays of disbursements and all those issues. Then we have loans and grants. So development partners who like something that a county is doing can be able to get into, a contract, or they sign an MOU, and the national government has structures through which counties can also be funded. There are services through grants and even loans. Of course, loans, because of the guaranteeing perspective, I know it's also been an ongoing conversation around who needs to guarantee a county if it is taking a loan from, for example, the World Bank or any other investor, among others. Then the last one, which is part of the biggest conversation, which is probably why the critics would be right, is what is called on-source revenue. So the potential for our county governments going up to almost 3 times what they receive from equitable share has not been fully captured. And if you look at why, in my view, this is happening, and based on some research that County Governance Watch has done and also other agencies, and I'm happy that I think it was the chair of the Council of Governors or even the president who spoke about one industry per county. Now that is a resource that if we can be able to take some time and think about it, because that's one thing that we have been talking about, that we do not have to see people graduating or coming from whatever sectors they are coming from to go and look for jobs in Nairobi or any other 3 big cities of the Republic of Kenya. But that if we can be able to put up industries and opportunities where investments can happen. And part of that, Fred, is a research which needs, and in fact it has been done, what kind of potential rests in which county. If you come to Homa Bay here, we know that it is blue economy. But why must the fish from Lake Victoria here be taken all the way to Thika to be reprocessed? You imagine the number of tractors that we see on our roads carrying fish in cold rooms, being transported. Why can't we do a fish industry so that farmers who also do poultry, like myself and my mom in the village, we don't have to wait for chicken feeds that have been processed elsewhere to be ferried back, and then we buy a bag of 10 kgs at 3,000 shillings plus. These are things which, in my view, if we can be able to exert that potential for counties and just industrialize. If you go closer by, about 40 minutes away from here, you are in Kisii Town. And Kisii Town, imagine the soapstone industry, you know, the MSMEs that organize themselves, and they do very exciting work. Inside this table, you see some pebbles, and look at how nicely done this table has been, you know. And if we can be able to build the capacity of those local industries, so that the conversation is integrating the national government, big conversations on funding small and micro enterprises. And then we connect these small, you know, women groups, youth groups from like Kisii and their soapstone. And then we put up a soapstone industry in Kisii beyond the coffee and the tea that is happening in Nyamira and the other areas. I believe, Fred, that these would be mechanisms that can be able to transform our counties to beat the challenge of economics. And as I finish, is this bigly, I mean, well, bigly is not English, but this overrated conversation around county, the CAIPs, County Agrarian Industrial Parks. For how long will we have conversations over industrial parks that locals no longer see? We have youth coming up with big innovations every day, but there is no support mechanism at that level. How do you grow whatever innovation you have? Every day you are channeled, and others normally give us nice stories of young men who are making small helicopters, you know, and they use very common minimal materials. But there is nowhere they can go to in the counties and say, you know, that this is what imagination or dream I have to make a chopper or a helicopter. Can you help me build this dream? And these are opportunities, Fred, that in my view, if we can be very much concerned about the county agrarian industrial parks, the CAIPs that the national government through the office of the DP are talking about, and with a very strong engagement of policies and laws at the county level, then there is no reason we'll be beating the critics and will not give them any excuse to fight devolution.
Yeah, criticism